Hello, let's see something interesting today. Who doesn't fantasize about a super fast computer? I'm not going to explain you the use cases of computer and bore you down. If you are into this video, you have some kind of computer sense and also like the power of computer can be visualized in our day-to-day life, right? Who lives without a computer? The computer need not be a monitor, a CPU, a power cord, a UPS as it was in the old ages anymore. Even the smartphones you use is also a form of computer, right? You can communicate with it. It manipulates some kind of calculations for you. It reminds you of something. You can open a website, open an email account. Everything is present within the smartphone. So smartphone is also a kind of computer. So I'm not going to explain you what are the capabilities of computer. But having a computer that is capable of doing something really fast is what we desire, right? Everyone dream of having a super fast computer. Even though that depends on the processor that each computer uses, right? So even in the smartphone, if you take the Snapdragon 745 processor is really fast. When you come to the computer, it's i7 or i9, it's super fast, right? But in spite of having these many powerful processors in your computer or smartphones, sometimes your PC tends to slow down over a period of time. Have you thought of it? Like, oh, when you bought a PC, when you bought your laptop or a computer for your office or business, it functions really fast at the start, but as the time progresses, the computer slows down. There may be variety of reasons, but the first and foremost reason would be having a lot of temporary files in it. So what is a temporary file? And will clearing those temporary files really fasten up my computer? Yes. For this to be made clear, let's first understand what a temporary file is, how this is getting accumulated in our system, and how does it impact our system's performance. As you can see in this image, there are a lot of variety of temporary files that is present in our system. Some files may be within the temporary folder, some files within the recycle bin. See, the files which you delete and have it inside your recycle bin also impacts your system's performance because the space occupied by the files within the recycle bin also contributes to the space where your operating system is installed. So once the space gets increased or occupied in your system, definitely your computer performance is going to go down. So before jumping it how to clear those temporary files, let's understand the concept behind it. So what is a temporary file really? Temporary files are also known as foo files. I will explain you why it is called so. These files are created by our operating system when we are running a task on our systems. These files are needed when we use any kind of programs or applications. Basically, these files serve as a temporary memory to work on these applications. So that's what we saw what a temporary file is. But how is it getting accumulated in my system? Say for instance, I'm using a Windows program or any kind of OS you are in, like Linux or Mac, any kind of operating system you have, right? We run certain kind of native programs. What I calculate as a native program is some kind of tasks or operations or programs that is native to that operating system. Say for example, Microsoft Word is an application which is native to Microsoft Windows, right? So whatever kind of applications that we run in our operating system will create certain kind of temporary files with .tmp extension. I will just walk you through these files and how to delete it, but let's first cover the theoretical part of it. I was explaining you about Microsoft Word. Say we are opening a resume, we are start working on it, and it is in the form of .doc. So it is a basic Microsoft Word document on which you are typing your resume. When you do that, you can see a hidden file with an extension of .doc along with the tilde $sign appended to your file name, and it has created a duplicate hidden file within the same directory where your original resume is in, right? Have you ever noticed it? For this to be noticed, you have to enable show all hidden files in your system. So once you do it and create a Microsoft Word document, while working on it, if you minimize the original document, you can see this temporary file created at the very same place where your original document is in. So I was telling you about the temporary files are also called foo files, right? So in case of Windows, it is called temporary files. In case of Linux, if you are a Linux user, if you are installing a Linux operating system in your PC, then it is called a foo file because the files are created with .foo extension. So that's it. That is not a big deal about it. In case of Windows, it is called temp, and it is in case of Linux, it is called a foo. So the next question is, do I really need them? Or is it safe to delete these files? Absolutely yes, you can very well delete it. These files are meant to store something temporarily and do not rely on the actual information we store in a file. So deleting a temporary file related to a Microsoft Word document will not definitely impact the information that you have in the original document. But we must be so careful while deleting the temporary files for the programs that is in use. In most cases, we will not be able to delete the files in the system, these temporary files in the system, because for the programs that are currently in use, say for example, if I'm using some kind of the same Excel, Microsoft Excel, the Microsoft Excel program will lock these temporary files, that's preventing it from getting deleted. Even if you go a step further to flush away these temporary files once their job is done. So once you're done with your editing your resume in the Microsoft Word document, right? So once the job is done, once your resume editing is done, you save and close your file. You will not see that hidden file being stored in the same directory because the Microsoft takes care of it. It is programmed in a way like to flush away the temporary file once the job of the original file is done. So once I reopen the same file, the temporary files will be recreated. And once you edit the original file, this temporary file will serve as the virtual space for that to support. Right? So now you have understand what a temporary file is, how it is getting accumulated in the system, and it is absolutely safe to delete them when they are not in use. We will jump in and see how these temporary files impact the performance. Over the time, when these temporary files get accumulated in the system, it eats up the memory. This could even lead to exhausting your storage. When the storage of the computer goes down, the system performance also degrades. There are quite a few methods to get rid of these temporary files. Let's see these methods in action. But I'm not going to use any of the third-party components here to delete your temporary files. These are all, native Windows method or some kind of programmatic method which I'm going to use. I'm not going to use any third-party software to disk clean up or clear out your temporary space. Right? So let's jump into the action. So I'm going to explain you the method one. So this is called a manual deletion. I think like most of the PC users who know what a temporary file is, this is going to use this manual deletion, right? So let us get it in action. What I'm going to do is, so this is my system. I'm going to go to the run command. So go to the taskbar and select type run command. Click on it, type percentage temp percentage. So this will open the virtual path where all your temporary files related to your system is stored. So once I open this, right? So this is the path. So user, app data, local temp. So this is the place where all my local temporary folders are getting accumulated in my system. So what I can do is I can just give a control A and delete or a shift delete. So what is the difference between a delete and a shift delete? When I just click on delete, right, all these files will be moved to my recycle bin. If I just press shift plus delete, it is going to get permanently deleted. That is, the files are not going to move to the recycle bin. Instead, they will be permanently deleted forever. It will not be stored in your recycle bin. So, but be careful while doing this, because this is not only applicable to the temporary files, but with whatever kind of deletion you are going to do with the file, this applies. So once you are going to do a shift delete, not in case of temporary files, it is fine to do with the temporary files, but if you are going to delete some documents or files which you might need some point of time later, right? So please don't use shift delete. But in case of this temporary files, you can do a shift delete. So that is one method. I'm not going to delete this temporary folder right now, because like we might need these files, for to explain you the other processes. So let it be. So you can just press delete or shift delete to clear out these things. So hope you understand the method one, right? So let me jump into the next method, is the Windows method. So Windows operating system within itself has certain methods to clear out these temporary files, unused files, cached files, etc. So within this Windows method, so there are two options. So the first option which I'm going to show you is recommended for Vista or Win7. So there are some users who are still using the Vista type of operating system or the Windows 7 version of the operating system, right? So for that, and the next one which I'm going to explain is recommended for Windows 10 users, right? So let us go with the first approach, method 2A, which is recommended for Vista or Windows 7. So before going to this method, so what we have to do is go to the start menu, type disk cleanup. So as you can see, there is one app that is inbuilt within Windows. So you can click on that. So once you click on that, right, you will see the list of drives in your system. So OS is installed in my C drive, volume E, volume F. So whatever, how many drives you have partitioned your original hard disk, right? So all those drives will be shown up over here. So let me select any one drive and click OK. So as you can see, the Windows is calculating the space, is analyzing the disk, and now you can see the types of temporary files or the cached files that is present in my disk, that is disk C, right? So you can also see a certain recommendation that you can disk cleanup to free up to 5.75 GB of, that is whole lot of space of disk space in your OS, right? So you can just go ahead, select whatever kind of files there are applicable to be deleted, right? And then you can go ahead and click OK. But you have to be very sure that you need admin rights to perform this action. If it's your personal PC, that's fine. It's well and good, because you are your own admin. So you don't need to input any admin password. But when it comes to the business system, like a few of the business users might not have the admin access to their own PC, right? So they might have to acquire the admin permission to do this. But other than this, you can see like the thumbnail has occupied some 2.01 GB of space. You can see some, temporary internet files is covering up 1.41 MB. And I can see in the recycle bin I have around 2.31 GB. In downloads folder I have 1.2. So you can just select whatever is applicable to you and then click on clean up system files or click OK, right? So this is for Windows 7 and Vista. So what's up for Windows 10? In Windows 10, it has an inbuilt feature to automatically clear out the recycle bin, downloaded folders, temporary folders, including the internet related files. Let's see how to do it. For this, again, I'm going to click on Windows and go to settings, right? When I just open the settings, at the first, you will see the system settings. So I'm just going to click this system settings. So once I do that, I will be listed with a lot of settings which are related to systems here. So I'm going to focus on the storage below battery. When I click that, you can see a storage menu popping up, right? So there are a lot many options here to explore. Let me explain some of you. Like when you automatically turn on the storage sense, it will automatically free up the unwanted files or temporary files and the content within the recycle bin, right? So I'm not going to do this now. So let us explore more. I'm going to click on this configure storage sense or run it now. So once I click on it, again you have an option to turn on this toggle storage sense, and it is also with the option to delete the temporary files. You can schedule a frequency, like how often are you planning to delete the files within the temporary folder or the recycle bin, etc. So here you will see a lot of options. It says from never to 60 days. So you can configure it as never when you do not want to delete any of your temporary files, or even to 60 days, so that every 60 days it runs a job that is configured in Windows 10 OS to run out and clear out all the temporary related files, right? And also you can delete the files in the download folders. Say if we have some installables downloaded from the internet, say for example some kind of games, GTA. So I have it in my downloads folder. I will just install the game and then I will start playing it, but I don't need the installable anymore, right? So you can just, you no need to do it automatically. You don't need to jump into downloads folder every time and clear out those files. You can just configure here, like after 14 days, please clear out all whatever files that is present in my downloads folder, right? So, or if you're fine with configuring this item, that's fine. But if you are going to clean up some space immediately to kind of install some softwares or so, if you're really low on your space, you can just click on clean now. So when I do it, it will clean up like whatever kind of items that is present in the temporary files recycle bins. It will not touch your download folder, and it will free up some space that is occupied by temporary internet files, etc. So it will be quite a useful tool to use in Windows 10. So it is uh, available in the Windows 10 version of it. And if you are using an earlier version, please follow the previous method, right? So now we are going to jump into the programmatic method. Here you need not be a programmatic expert to understand what I'm going to do. I will explain each one of the syntax present in that code, but I would just give this content of code within inside my description section so that you can just copy paste. So I will just show you the method on how to execute this, right? So what I'm going to do is I will first create a notepad, right? I will create a notepad. Let me name it to clear me, and you can name it whatever you want. So let me open the notepad. Here I'm going to type 3 lines of code. So this is what is going to clear out your files in recycle bin and temporary folder. Let me type the code first and then I will explain you. right? That's it. So here the RD stands for remove directory, right? It is going to remove the temporary file directory as a whole, right? So the RD stands for remove directory. What directory to remove is the temporary file directory. So what does the slash yes and slash q stands for? So slash yes stands for remove all the folders, all the subfolders along with the original temporary folder. So inside the temporary folder, we may also have some standalone files and also some folders, right? So whatever folder that is present within the temporary directory is called a subfolder to the temporary directory. So clear out all the temporary folder. I'm instructing this file to clear out all the temporary folders within my temporary folder. So here the slash q denotes don't prompt me for anything and do it by yourself. So because like if you do not give this, it will ask for yes or no whether to delete, because since we have created this program to explicitly delete the content within the temporary folder, I do not want some kind of console that is asking me whether I want to delete or not, right? So I have given slash q. So once I delete the entire directory, this md stands for make directory. So there must be some kind of directory called temp for further kind of operations that you do on your PC, right? So when you create some, uh, program, or when you run some program, it requires some temporary directory to be in place in your system to use it as a virtual memory, right? So for that, I'm going to make the directory. Since I have already removed it, I'm going to make the directory. MD stands for make directory of temp, right? So the temporary file deletion is done. Now I'm going to jump into how to clear your recycle bin. So again, I'm going to remove the directory. As you also already know what slash s is, slash q is, it's going to remove the items that is present in the system drive. Within the system drive, I have a folder called $recycle.bin. So I'm going to clear the entire content within the $recycle.bin folder within my system drive. So that's it. This is the program. So once you write these 3 lines of code, you can save as, because this is a notepad, it is not going to run by itself. I need to convert this notepad into a batch file. Now what I have to do is, once I click as save as, it will ask me for save as type. So here I will click on all files. Here comes the important part of it. After the file name, with whatever you give, you have to append .bat. .bat stands for batch file. Batch file is a kind of file which runs certain scripts within it. So whatever kind of script you can run through CMD prompt, you can run it within the batch file. You can also have this batch file to auto run if you configure it in Windows. I'll show how we can do it in the startup. But let me do it manually first. So once I do this, I will rename this file to .bat. Click on save. So as you can see, a batch file is created, right? So when you want to edit this batch file, you can right click on it, click on edit, the code appears in the notepad. But right now I'm going to run this. So before that, I will ensure something is there in the recycle bin too. It is already there in the recycle bin. So let me run this. Right. So it has completed its run. Let me open the recycle bin. Now you can see there is nothing inside my recycle bin. Let me also check the temporary folder. So you can still see, if you have followed the video since the start, you would have seen a lot of temporary files going here, right? So it has removed most of the files, but why is these 2 files still remaining? Because these 2 files might be still in use. What I can say is, like, this is a kind of temporary file for the original application, and I'm still using the original application, right? So those files will not be deleted. As I said earlier, these temporary files will be locked by the original program and prevents us to be deleted, right? So this is a kind of batch file which I can just double click on it and then run it whenever I need. So if you want to just clear the temporary files and not clear the original, the content within the recycle bin, right? So you can just remove this third line to do that, because removing the items every time in the recycle bin might not be a good advice, right? Because we accidentally would have deleted some files and it will be inside our recycle bin, which we can recover at some point of time. So this is not a recommended practice, but still, if you're so sure on removing your recycle bin, you can just include this line and then you can go ahead, right? The fourth and final method is doing it programmatically at the startup. So for this, we don't need to write any new line of code. Rather, you have a batch file in your hand, right? So this is my batch file. I have it already. So what I can do is I need to navigate to a particular path. So here, go to the run command and type percentage app data percentage. Don't worry, I've included all this code and the path in my blog, which is commonmaneditorial.blogspot.com. So you can refer to these kind of code within my blog and then you can use it further. Microsoft/Windows/start menu/program/startup. So what basically where I'm navigating to is, so whatever kind of automatic batch scripts or whatever kind of services that you want to your Windows operating system to run at the startup, right? It has to be placed within here. So what I'm going to do is simply copy this batch file, place it within the startup folder. So once I do this, what will happen is when I restart my system every time, this batch script will run, clear the content within my recycle bin, clear the content within the temporary folders, right? But be very careful that this will run on every reboot of your system. Since this is present within the startup of program, it will run on every reboot of your system and will keep clearing your temporary files and recycle bin every time. So I would recommend to choose this method wisely when the content inside the recycle bin is sure to be discarded whenever we boot up the system. All right. So that's it for today's video. Hope you'd have liked it. And thanks for watching. Do subscribe to my channel and follow my blog. Thank you.